Hi, welcome back to The Books Are Everywhere, when me and Courtney are on holiday. Hi, Courtney's here.
I'm here.
We are on holiday in Yorkshire. It is absolutely beautiful, as you can see. It's sunset now, and yeah, it's just very, very pretty here, surrounded by countryside. And we've started our first buddy read of the holiday. We are reading Children of Blood and Bone, and we actually started reading this on audio on the way here because we both started at the same time, so we decided to start listening to the audiobook, which was pretty good. And I
enjoyed it.
Yeah, the narrator was really good.
Yeah, we really liked the narrator.
Yeah, and also got some of the pronunciations from the audiobook, which was helpful.
We needed them.
Yes, but yeah, this one is following. Well, now I've got to remember the pronunciations. Zaylee?
Yes.
It's following Zaylee and Amari. And Zaylee is, we think that she has magic, and she is from ancestors who had magic, and it's basically discussing this event that happened 11 years ago.
Yeah.
Where magic was taken away. It's also following a princess called Amari, and we're just gonna see where their story goes. It is very interesting so far. The writing, I think, is easier to read than we both expected. I think we both expected it to be a more heavier fantasy, and it is actually quite easy to get through. So we're currently 100 pages in, and it's 525 pages. So we're gonna see how far we can get tonight. It's currently just gone 7. So yeah, wish us luck. And then we have many other books to read over the course of this holiday. We're here till Thursday. So yeah, we're reading this. Hope you enjoy the vlog. Hi, it's day 2 in the Big Brother house. It's day 2 of our reading holiday, and we are doing pretty well. We have both just finished Children of Blood and Bone, and I think it's safe to say we both enjoyed it. It's very long. It is 525 pages, so it's taken us about, I think we worked out, it's been about 30 hours since we started it yesterday, and we have been solidly reading pretty much all day, and it's now 5 p.m, so we took a break for kind of lunch and stuff, but we have read a lot today. But we've both finally finished this book, which we did both enjoy. I think I'm going to give it 3.5 stars. I think Courtney's going to give it 4 stars. Do you do half stars?
Not really, but
Yeah.
I'll stick with 4.
Yeah, Courtney doesn't tend to do half stars as much as I do. So she's sticking with 4. I've gone with 3.5. I think we both did enjoy this, and we both will be reading the sequel, I think it's fair to say. And there is meant to be a 3rd book coming out as well, but that's not scheduled until next year. so we'll see what happens with that. But it wasn't without its faults. As I said, it was very long. There is also quite a lot of characters in this book. There's like 4 kind of central characters that you follow, so obviously they do have kind of these side characters around them, and without giving like around each of them as well, and without giving any kind of like spoilers, I was kind of struggling to sympathise when something happened to one of the side characters, because I just felt like there was already these 4 people that you're focusing on, which like I did sympathise with them, but then if something happened with the side characters, it was like, okay, I don't really know who you are, because there's just not space in the book, even though it's quite long, to focus on these 4 characters and their like what's happening to them, and to focus on side characters, if that makes sense. It's very, very plot heavy. There is a lot going on in this book, honestly. Like, you think something's going to take them half the book, and then you're like, oh, we're here, we've already done this journey, or, you know, something's already happened. It does go by very, very quickly. I did really like the writing. We both really liked the kind of world building and the magic system in this, which I thought was really good. There's a lot kind of based on Nigerian and African heritage, which was really interesting. And I feel like there is a lot about the magic system that we did really like. But yeah, not perfect. Also the love interest, there's like 2 kind of romances that emerge throughout the book, and I feel like both of them are a bit kind of insta love. They do seem to happen a little bit quickly, and I don't feel like the characters know each other that well when they kind of emerge, but overall did still enjoy it, and will be carrying on for both of us. And this cover is beautiful too. It has some like subtle foiling that you just can't really see a lot of the time, but it's in like this, in the main, well, the character's hair on the front cover. Very beautiful. But anyway, so we both finished that. I have also read the first 60-ish pages, 58 pages of The Loneliest Girl in the Universe by Lauren James. This is a reread because my friend is also reading this book, so I thought I'd join him, and I am enjoying it so far. It has been a few years since I read this. I believe I read this back in 2017, when it very first came out, which I have read all of Lauren James's books apart from Green Rising, which is her latest release, and I'm intrigued to see if I love it as much as I did the first time. It is already reading a little bit young, but this is it's set in space, following Romy, who is the only surviving member of her crew, travelling between Earth and Earth 2, and it's basically like a kind of psychological space thriller as the book goes on, and I do really enjoy it. Like, I did really enjoy it before, and I'm looking forward to seeing if I enjoy it as much as I did this time. I also completely kind of forgot that this is where, or just didn't realise that this is where, I think it's called an unauthorised fan treaty comes from, which Lauren actually publishes on Tumblr or on a website, which I might go and look at after this, because I knew that she'd released that, and I'd seen that on Instagram, but it just never clicked that that's actually part of this book, because Romy, the main character, writes fan fiction, and I think essentially that is kind of what's being published online, which is pretty cool. So yes, enjoying this one, glad to be reading it again. The next ones that we're actually going to start, I am going to reread volume 1 of Lore Olympus as a bit of a break between novels. We're both going to jump into some graphic novels, so Courtney's going to read a little bit of Fullmetal Alchemist, and I'm going to read Lore Olympus, because I have read this one before, but I'm going to read the second volume while we're away as well, hopefully. So I'm reading the first one, and then we're going to dive into If You Still Recognise Me by Cynthia So, which we are both very, very excited to read. And this one, I feel like we've got the daunting book out of the way with Children of Blood and Bone as the first one. That is like the longest one that we've brought with us, and we're going to dive into some contemporary. So yeah, very excited. I've heard really good things about this one. It's following Elsie, who has a crush on Ada, the only person in the world who truly understands her, but they've never met in real life, and Ada lives an ocean away. But Elsie has decided it's now or never to tell Ada how she feels, but then her long-lost best friend Joan walks back into her life. Very excited to read this one. So we're going to start that soon. But for now, Lore Olympus. I just whacked myself in the head with that book.
It's a disaster really, isn't it?
So, it's day 2 in the evening. We went to put our dinner in the oven to find out we didn't have an oven.
We've only been here a day and a half.
And we bought pizza for the oven.
Garlic bread
For the oven. Do we have an oven?
No, we've not got an oven.
So, we've had some pasta.
Mm-hmm.
Again. And a piece of bread.
Not garlic bread. Bread.
And butter.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
So that's day 2.
We're gonna have some wine now because would you believe we haven't had a drink yet? I did have half a cider.
You did.
Hours
Bit
ago.
cheeky of you.
It's day 3. It's very, very hot. Currently 28 degrees Celsius, meant to get up to 29. And it's very bright. It's about 3 p.m. and me and Courtney have finished our second buddy read of the trip. We both read If You Still Recognise Me by Cynthia So, and we both loved it very, very much. This was a welcome break from fantasy after reading a 525 page fantasy. This was just joyous to dive into, very easy to read, very easy to kind of start and get into the story with the characters. It's 409 pages, so a little shorter as well, but I feel like we both read this quite quickly. So we read half of it last night and half of it today, and yeah, really enjoyed it. Courtney's giving it 5 stars, I am giving it 4.5. We both found that there was a few issues with it as we went on. At the start, the main character does feel quite young for an 18-year-old, just in her kind of like mannerisms and the things that she says, but that does kind of change as the book goes on, and she does have kind of some events going on in her life that makes her seem a bit older. And there was also just kind of some little things like treatments of a friend and things that she kind of says in relation to that we were a little bit like didn't quite sit right, but overall, like, nobody's perfect, and it did kind of work out in a way for the kind of story that this was. And yeah, we both did really enjoy this one. But even with a lot of those things like the treatment of her friend and stuff, it was kind of acknowledged at some point in the story, which was good. It was also a little bit predictable, but I feel like it was more about that journey than the destination. I don't think it really affected us too much that we guessed a lot of what was going to happen, and I think we also found it quite fun to guess what was going to happen, because we did read this one pretty much exactly the same pace. We had runs of like 100-ish pages where we were literally on the same page for most of it. So definitely really enjoyed this as a buddy read. It was very queer. A lot of the characters are queer. There is non-binary characters, there's discussions of asexuality, there is gay characters, there's lesbian characters. It was very queer, and also discusses fandom quite heavily, which I really enjoyed. The main character works in a comic book shop, which was quite fun to read about, and there was a line that was very relatable for me as a bookseller, and when Courtney read it she laughed and said, you know, I would know when I got to that line on the next page. Yeah, really enjoyed reading this, would highly recommend. Love this cover too, absolutely beautiful. So yes, 4 out of 5 stars from me, 5 stars from Courtney. Great experience, very much enjoyed. I am going to now read volume 2 of Lore Olympus. I did reread volume 1 yesterday. Very much enjoyed rereading it. It does have some trigger warnings, just so you're aware, mainly for sexual abuse. But I'm looking forward to seeing where the story is gonna go. I also just love the artwork in this. It has kind of a colour for each character, and that also kind of changes, I think, with emotion as well. The art style is just very, very striking and very cool. So yeah, looking forward to seeing where volume 2 goes, and I'm glad I reread volume 1 as well. And then we're actually going to start reading Under a Dancing Star by Laura Wood, which I don't know too much about, but it's set in 1930s England, following somebody called Bee, whose parents want her married off to keep the family estate alive, but she longs for adventure, and it then is set in a golden summer in Italy with a bohemian uncle who opens up her whole world, which includes Ben, a handsome, infuriating artist. Sparks fly between the quick-witted pair until one night under the stars a challenge is set. Can they put aside their teasing and have the perfect summer romance? There is only one rule: they must not fall in love. I feel like this one will be a perfect one to read while we are on holiday in summer, because it is very hot here. So yes, very excited to dive into this one as our next buddy read. But yeah, I'm going to read volume 2 of Lore Olympus now, and Courtney's going to read a bit more of Fullmetal Alchemist, and yeah, then we'll get started on Under a Dancing Star. So this is the middle of day 3. We are heading home tomorrow, but we're still hoping to get some more reading in before then. It is just gone 9 PM. As you can tell, it is getting dark now. We've had another beautiful sunset this evening, not quite as striking as last night's, but very, like, every night has just been so beautiful here. And anyway, since I last spoke to you, me and Courtney have actually finished Under a Dancing Star. This one was so good. It was also really quick to read. We were reading more than 100 pages an hour, I would say, and it's 402 pages, and we finished it, and honestly we both adored this book. I think we were both surprised by how much we love this book. I think I would say, maybe could say for both of us, that it was actually more enjoyable than If You Still Recognise Me, which I don't think either of us expected. This is set in the 1930s, and neither of us are like massive historical fiction fans, but Laura Wood has a talent. Honestly, I think we also both enjoyed this more than A Sky Painted Gold, which we've also read by her and really enjoyed. But honestly, just love this book. It was just set in Italy in summer. The location was beautiful, the descriptions of everything was beautiful, the romance was to die for. So well written, so good. I honestly just don't think I can pick a fault. I think it's gonna have to be 5 stars. Like, it's just very good. I just really enjoyed it, and Courtney felt very much the same. A very enjoyable read for both of us, really. Absolutely loved it. I don't know what else to say. It also had like a beautifully hopeful ending, which is exactly what I want from a book. And yeah, just flew through it, and I felt very absorbed in the story, and like I didn't want to put it down. Perfect thing to read while we're away. Really glad we picked up this one because it's set in summer in Italy. And just excited to read more by Laura Wood, to be honest, because I adored this more than I even thought, and I think Courtney could say the same, and I think it's going to be a 5 stars from both of us, to be honest. So yeah, very happy about that. I am just going to sit down and read a little bit of The Loneliest Girl in the Universe, because I'm here right now. I am about 60 something pages in, haven't read a lot more, 68 pages in. and I have currently read 970 pages today. So if I can read 30 more pages, I will have hit 1,000. So I might just try and get to a page 100 of this. I have read 10 pages already, so I don't need to read that much, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I would like to hit 1,000 pages today because it's very, very close. And then I think me and Courtney are going to start the Henna Wars probably tomorrow, because we have got the rest of High School Musical 2 to watch tonight. So I don't think we'll start the Henna Wars tonight. You never know, but we are going to watch High School Musical 2. And then we're going to read some of the Henna Wars tomorrow. We are heading home tomorrow though, so I don't think we'll be able to read all of it. But very successful day. Books have been read. Hi, it is Friday. Yes, it's Friday. I am in fact home now, as you can see. Me and Courtney came home yesterday. Sad to be home. It was such a good time. We were away for 3 nights, Monday to Thursday, and honestly it was just lovely to get away from everything, and it was just so easy. Like, we didn't really leave the place for the entire time because it was just so peaceful. We got so much reading done there. I honestly could not have asked for a better holiday or place to stay. It was just fantastic and I miss it already. And yeah, it is nice to be home, but it's such a lovely week, and I miss being there with Courtney. But anyway, I thought I would just come and wrap up this vlog and tell you kind of how I did, how many books I read, how I'm like doing with those. So I have some that I'm currently reading as well, and just recap like what I've read throughout the week. So since I last spoke to you, I have finished the Henna Wars. Me and Courtney read all of this yesterday. We read a little bit at the place before we left, and then we went to the beach and read a chunk, and then we listened to the audiobook on the way home and managed to finish it just before we got home. Actually, it worked out very well. We both really enjoyed this book. It was very good. I have read Honey and Issue's Guide to Fake Dating by the same author. Courtney, I don't think has read anything by this author before, because these are her only 2 books, I believe. But yeah, I've wanted to read this one for a while, and this is following 2 girls, so it's Nishat and Flavia, as they have this kind of business competition in their school, and they both decide that they want to do henna. So Nishat is Bengali, Flavia is Brazilian Irish, if my memory is serving me correctly. This is set in Dublin. So there is a lot of discussions of race, there's a lot of discussions of culture, and there's also a lot of discussions of being a lesbian, because Nishat is lesbian, but her parents do have a bit of a problem with that, and they feel like it doesn't suit their kind of culture. That is discussed quite heavily throughout this book. But yes, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. There were a few instances where I thought, is this going to be fully wrapped up? I feel like most things, or all things, were discussed and were kind of like wrapped up and justified by the end, but there was some things that maybe I'd have liked a little bit more focus on, or I felt like it's going to be discussed like at that particular point in the story, and then it wasn't, so I was a bit thrown by that. I kept having to say to Courtney, like, have I missed a chunk of the audiobook, because I was like driving and stuff. I felt like I'd missed things out, but in reality I hadn't. So yeah, I don't know, there was maybe like a slight criticism there, but I did still really enjoy this. This is also does feel quite young, and felt quite young in comparison to some of the other books that we've read this week. I think they're probably around, I don't know, because I don't know what year it is in Ireland in the school, because the schooling is a little bit different. I think maybe they're around 15, I think 15, 16 maybe, but they did feel quite young to me, so like personally, on a personal level, I didn't relate to them as much, and I feel like I would have enjoyed this more if I was that age, but I did still really enjoy this. I'm going to rate this one 4 out of 5 stars. So that one's another book that I did completely finish while we were away. So I finished 7 books and I managed to start 2 others. I did also take with me Burn Down, Rise Up by Vincent Torrado, which I'm currently reading, Girls in Love by Jacqueline Wilson, which I started like a month ago and need to carry on with, and The Heart So Fierce and Broken, which I didn't manage to get to, but that will probably be my next read, maybe on one of the next books I pick up, because I'm in the middle of that series. And then I took a few other kind of like wildcard choices that I didn't get to, but they were more just like extras. So I feel like I did really, really well with the amount that I took with me, actually kind of getting to most of the books that I did take. So I'm going to give a quick kind of recap, and I'll try and do this in some kind of order of when I read them on holiday. So first I picked up Princess Ever After by Kay O'Neill. Cute 50-page graphic novel following 2 princesses. This was very, very sweet. I love that there's a little dragon in it. This is by the same author as the Tea Dragon Society, and I feel like I just want to read all of their books, to be honest, and I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars. Then me and Courtney started our first buddy read, which was Children of Blood and Bone, and we read this over Monday afternoon and most of Tuesday. We finished this one on Tuesday afternoon, and we both enjoyed this one. It's a very kind of complex fantasy. There's a lot of kind of African and Nigerian influence. It's a big kind of world. There's a lot of world building. There's magic in this world. It was very, very cool, very, very complex. I gave this one 3.5 out of 5 stars in the end. I think I then picked up, if I remember rightly, Lore Olympus Volume 1, which was a reread for me by Rachel Smythe. This is a webtoon that's been turned into graphic novels, which is following the Greek gods in kind of a modern day situation, which I enjoyed this one. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I think my memory is serving me right. We then read our second buddy read, which is If You Still Recognise Me by Cynthia So, and we read this Tuesday night and Wednesday morning, finished it Wednesday lunchtime-ish. Both really, really enjoyed this one. This is an LGBT contemporary. Really, really good. So good. Gave this one 4.5 out of 5 stars. And then I think I went on to Lore Olympus Volume 2, which I must say I really, really enjoyed. I really got into the story with Volume 2. This one is so, so good. And I gave this one 4.5 out of 5 stars. Then we delved into Under a Dancing Star by Laura Wood, which was a little bit of a surprise. It was the favourite book of the trip, I think, for both of us. It's our third buddy read, and we both gave this one 5 stars. This is set in Italy in the 1930s, following B and having kind of a romance with Ben. It was beautifully done, absolutely brilliant. Yeah, 5 out of 5 stars for this one. And then of course the Henna Wars, which, as I said, I rated 4 out of 5 stars, and this was our 4th buddy read of the trip, so we did manage to buddy read 4 books. And then I also started 2 other books. So I read about half of The Loneliest Girl in the Universe, which I'm buddy reading with a friend. So yeah, I've got a sale bookmark, a Sainsbury's coupon in there, and I'm on page 142 right now. This is a reread as well. This is a young adult sci-fi book that I am rereading. And I also started Hooky. This is a graphic novel that I'm currently about 100 pages into, that I'm also buddy reading as well. And this one is very, very, very sweet. I started this one on holiday, but I just didn't manage to get that far into it. I have read a bit more today, but honestly, I felt like I did a good job with all of the reading that I did. I am very happy with the fact I read 7 books over 3-4 days. I think that's pretty damn good. Getting my TBR down, getting there with the reading goal for the year as well. So yeah, I do also have a couple of books. I say a couple, like 5 books that I want to show you quickly before I end this video, just to say like thank you to some people who have helped me out getting some books or gifted me books, and I've had a few from publishers and things like that. So firstly, I did pick up The Extraordinaries by TJ Klune from a shop that I worked at over the weekend. There was a colleague that didn't want this book, so I picked this one up because I do want to read this at some point, and I love TJ Klune's writing. So I thought I'd just get this because this is the edition I wanted. I also have The Dragon's Promise by Elizabeth Lim. This was sent to me from Hodder, so thank you to Hodder. This is the second book in the Six Crimson Cranes duology. I think there's only two. I haven't read the first one yet, so I can't really say anything about this one, but thank you to Hodder for sending it to me. I also have the Illumicrate version of Portrait of a Thief by Grace D. Lee. I don't think I've mentioned this in a video so far. Feel like maybe I have now, but this is from Amy, so thank you to Amy. And then there was a couple of books that Alex was selling, so I bought these off Alex, and that's the Fairy Loot edition of These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. I have the second one in the Fairy Loot edition, Our Violent End, so I was very happy to have this one. And Little Thieves by Margaret Owen in the Illumicrate edition, I think. So yeah, thank you to Alex for giving me these two, or selling me these two. Yes, I'm pretty sure this is the Illumicrate edition. And then last but not least, I did receive a parcel this morning, and this is from Penguin, so thank you so much to Penguin. And this is a copy of Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid, which they were giving out to Waterstones booksellers. They were giving out a selection of Taylor Jenkins Reid books before Carrie Soto was here. Is that even what it's called? I can't remember. Carrie Soto is back? Carrie Soto is back. I'm such a bad bookseller. I can't remember the name of that book, but I'm pretty sure it's Carrie Soto is back, and now I'm questioning myself. But yes, Courtney really loves this book, and I read The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo recently and absolutely loved it so much. So yeah, gonna give this one a go. Thank you to Penguin for sending me a copy. Anyway, I am going to head off now. Thank you for listening to me ramble at the end of this vlog. I hope you've enjoyed seeing me on this reading retreat, which was absolutely lovely. Thank you as well to Courtney for just such a beautiful week. It has been an absolute joy. So yes, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.